Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and hello, Pastor Ian. How are you?
Hi, Brad. I'm doing very well. I should say Pastor Brad.
Oh, well, you don't have to. You don't have to. Welcome, everyone, to the second episode of this yet-to-be-named media creation that we're doing. I'm not even sure what to call it yet.
But by the time this reaches people, it will have a name.
It'll have a name. There'll be music. There'll be branding. Oh, it's going to be a complete package. But until then, we're swimming in this unknown. So, Pastor, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I know that you're a busy man, and so I know you got a phone call to make the moment we're done. So I'm not going to keep you long today. But one of the plans and purposes that we have for this is to connect with our leadership all across the country and find out who's who and get to hear their heart and their story. And I think it's going to be a great way for us to get to know each other as a family of Nazarenes in Canada. And so it only seems right to begin at the top, at the top of the pinnacle of the family of Nazarenes. Are we comfortable with that? How do you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure everybody would agree with your description, but yeah.
I've got the microphone. No, but you are our national director and represent us as the Canadian Nazarenes and have done so very well. But I would love to be able to kind of go back in time and get to know who you are from your upbringing, and we'll kind of go through some different things. And we're a couple minutes in now, so we're looking for that sweet 15-minute window, that consumable 15-minute window. So I'll stop talking. And Pastor, why don't you tell us where you're from and some of your upbringing, and then I'd love to transition that into call and ministry and things like that.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. I was born in Lurgan, Northern Ireland, many years ago, and born into a Methodist family. My mom and dad were both believers and a part of the Methodist Church in Lurgan, Northern Ireland. In fact, High Street Methodist Church was the incubator into which I was placed as a young kid. And Sunday school, Boys Brigade, Christian Endeavor, all of the different services that came out of that church, I was to be found there. So that was really steeped in a lot of history, steeped in a lot of tradition, and yet a very evangelical congregation. The Methodist Church in Northern Ireland at that time, and I still think today, is fairly evangelical in its mission. It has not lost focus, as I know evangelical is a word that maybe is not comfortable with many people because it has many interpretations, but from a purist point of view, it has not lost touch with its call to preach the gospel. And that's the environment into which I was born.
You mentioned that you were born to parents that were both believers. Would you be able to speak into maybe the influence that your parents had in shaping you as a believer?
Yeah, and it's not a fairy tale story by any stretch of the imagination. My dad was Sunday school superintendent, a great layman in the church. My mom, a great laywoman in the church. Now I guess we just say lay persons. But because of my dad's Sunday school influence, that's where we found ourselves twice on Sunday. Morning Sunday school, morning worship. Afternoon Sunday school, evening worship. School on Monday. And that heavy duty practice week after week, in part, led me to questioning why, in fact, I was so busy on Sunday.
Really? You were observing your own Sunday going, why am I doing all this?
Why am I doing all this? Yeah. And the answer was very clear that I was doing it basically because I was told if you don't do it, you'll find somewhere else to live.
Okay, so how did you rectify that then? Because some people, when they come to that point and they recognize that it's been a part of their upbringing, but now they're faced with this, well, why am I doing it? Well, I'm doing it because I'm told I have to. They go the other way.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened to me. And this is not to direct blame to my parents. My parents They are in heaven today, and they are godly people.
Mhm.
They set a great example for us as children, my brother, my sister, myself. No way to cast blame upon them. My journey to a personal relationship with Jesus was a convoluted one. It was a direct departure from the church. Just a simple decision to walk away from, I don't think to walk away from God, even though I came close to that too. But the first step was to walk away from what represented God.
Sure.
Very often, extremely well, sometimes poorly, which is a great record for any congregation today. If it's often well and rarely poorly, I'll take that.
Yes.
And I think anybody listening to this would take that. So no blame upon anybody, just a personal decision that this was not my cup of tea. And I walked away. The convolution then began with where I went when I walked away. And that was into many different dark places, just sampling the world. And what I had not been able to sample in those growing up years, I just sort of crammed it all into a few years.
Okay. So, I mean, you're our national director now, which means that there must have been a few steps that brought you there from the place of perhaps we would say rebellion into being called back. And I'm sure your story, similar to ours, was that even my own, in those moments when you're trying to walk away, quote unquote, the Lord is drawing you back. So what brought you back?
It was a traumatic experience. It was a serious illness that I was inflicted with when I was 21 years old. It was, let's see now, it would have been in around springtime 1975. And I had lost much weight. I was not feeling well. Went to the doctor. Doctor thought it was some kind of virus. Treated me for a couple of weeks. I got progressively worse and ended up in hospital, where I was suddenly confronted with the reality that surgery was going to take place the next day, and I was told by the surgeon that he wasn't sure I was going to make it. It was as blunt as that. And in that moment of reality, it was back against the wall. It was do or die, really.
Mm-hmm.
All of those phrases you could think of. It sounds like a hockey playoff season, but it was that serious. And I called my dad to come and pray with me and to make real to me his message that he was giving in Sunday school every week to strangers. Now I want you to make this real to your son. Mm-hmm. And he did. And as a result of that, he led me in the sinner's prayer. Yeah, that's a rarity these days because it's hard to find sinners. Just saying. But a sinner's prayer, a genuine confession, a genuine repentance, a genuine sorrow for what I had become when I knew that God didn't want me to become that. And asking the Lord to come and be Lord of my life, forgive me of my sins, and to take me into his family. And to take me into his family, by the way, for me, that statement meant tomorrow I'm going on a bit of a journey. And I really made the assumption that my journey was going to be into eternity. I've since come to realize that, yes, my journey that day did take me into an eternal quest.
It did.
But it's one that I can walk here on earth for whatever time I have. But that was the moment of realization, and it was very special. And I go to that moment in the dark days of leadership. In the dark days of leadership, I usually don't go to a seminar. I usually don't go to a TED Talk. I usually don't go to something. I go to the 25th of May, 1975, and I replay it. Yes. Over and over.
Similar to you, my father led me to the Lord
Wow.
And it just, you know, hearing you tell your story brought me right back there. And we need to thank the Lord for godly parents that are willing to bring their kids up in the way of the Lord and lead them to him.
We do, brother.
So you had surgery and you came out of that, and I would assume that you got better.
Yeah,
Began the
it was a
journey.
long journey. It was a serious surgery. It was spare the details, but I ended up with an ileostomy, which if you Google that word, folks, you can find out exactly what the details of that are. From 21 till now, I've had that as a constant reminder of a traumatic experience that led me into a wonderful relationship with Jesus. And I began to recover, went to a Nazarene church along with a very dear friend who was in a rock band with me during those dark days. He got saved the same week as I did in different circumstances.
Wow.
And now the two of us, lead guitarist Carl and singer Ian, are looking for a new church to go to be our home. And the Lord led us to the Church of the Nazarene in Lurgan, Northern Ireland, where I met my wife, who was the pastor's daughter. So Reverend Spence became not only my pastor, but my father-in-law. And our going to that church was a miracle, in fact. It was a powerful demonstration of the prevenient of God in a very strange way.
Wow. So you went as a rock band looking for a church to go to, found a wife.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to oversimplify here. I'm just thinking of how many churches are praying for a young adult rock band to show up.
Well, I think too that sometimes this whole idea of praying is, we could really spend some time talking about the effect and the power of prayer. Like the power of prayer on the part of my mother was that I was in a relationship before I got married to Pat, and my mother did not want that relationship to continue. So she pointed her bony finger in my face and said, I'm going to pray that God will do whatever he has to do to split you up from that other girl. Now, what God allowed to have happen was for me to get very ill, for me to spend many months in hospital, for me to have a constant reminder for the rest of my life of what that took. That's not only the power of prayer, but that is the implication of what it means when we gather in our churches for prayer meeting, that we are actually bringing together the forces of cosmic forces, spiritual forces of darkness and light. And that battle is being played out in the person you're praying for.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, Brad, that we really get. I'm not sure we come to terms with that. That's a. If you just sat long enough and thought about that, you mightn't go back to another prayer meeting.
Yeah.
Not that I'm recommending that, but there is a powerful implication when we join forces and agree together on certain things. And so, the other prevenient part of this was that at the time that Carl and I were looking for a new church home, we were looking for a church home with a different set of criteria than God was ordaining. And the set of criteria for us was we want a church that has a preacher that doesn't preach long, that the seats are soft, the pews are not hard to where, we're going to not be comfortable. We want soft pews. And we heard that the Church of the Nazarene in Lurgan, newly built, had this faux leather covering on high density foam. And I thought, wow, God is so good. But that's not the reason we ended up there.
Okay. I want to know. I'm also a little nervous based on how descriptive you were with the leather seating.
Well, no, not leather, brother. Faux leather.
Oh, faux leather.
Yeah.
Full leather.
F-A-U-X,
Okay.
faux leather.
So perhaps what we might call pleather today. Would that be?
That's an important distinction.
It is. Wow.
Now, we thought we were going for faux leather. We thought we were going for padded pews. We thought we were going for short sermons. Now, we were already saved, okay? This is in our infancy. We had our list. But on a very serious note, the NYI president at the Lurgan Church, which was a young church, it was a restart of an old dying church. And in this restart, a few new people had come, and one of them was a young man who had lived a very rough life. God delivered him. But he ended up, it was during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, he ended up getting shot. I won't go into the details. But as he lay dying in the intensive care unit, God spoke to my father-in-law and said, this young man will die, but I'm going to send you 2 other young men to take his place. Now, at a time when the Church of the Nazarene was not the most popular place to go in a small Northern Irish town, that seemed ridiculous to my father-in-law, to my pastor. But these 2 young men, one of which became the NYI president, that is Carl, and the other one became the Sunday school superintendent, following in my father's footsteps, was me. And while we thought we were going there for other reasons, we were going there under the direction of God, who was allowing circumstances that would be otherwise devastating to be a part of fulfilling his will for that church and for our lives. Today, Carl is a Nazarene pastor in Manchester, England, and I am here in Canada ministering.
Wow. Pastor Ian, you've just really whet our appetite to hear more, frankly. We are coming near the end of our time for an episode, unless we're having an extended edition. We might. No,
I think we should wrap and then pick this up again the next edition.
I completely agree.
In your business, what do you say? Stay tuned?
Stay tuned, or to be continued.
To be continued. So okay.
Come back again next time to hear the thrilling, not conclusion, but continuation of the journey of Ian Fitzpatrick, pastor, doctor, friend, and brother in Christ. Thank you, Pastor, for taking this time with us.
Oh, thank you, Brad. God bless you.
You as well, and we look forward to seeing you, the audience, again next week or next month or whatever pattern we put this out in. I shouldn't have committed to either of those. Goodbye.
God bless.